Confident Speaking Podcast, where you can learn to speak English with natural rhythm, real confidence, and fluency.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Confident Speaking Podcast. I'm David, your host, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Julia. We're so excited you've joined us today.
Hi there, I'm Julia, and David, I have to say I'm practically buzzing with excitement about today's topic. You know what? I was just thinking about how many times this week people asked me about my weekend plans, and I realized this is such a universal conversation starter.
That's exactly right, Julia. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most common topics you'll encounter in English conversations, talking about your weekend plans. Whether you're chatting with colleagues on Friday afternoon, making small talk with neighbors, or planning activities with friends, this topic comes up constantly.
And here's the thing that makes me really excited about this episode. We're not just going to teach you vocabulary words. We're going to share 50 incredible phrases and expressions that native speakers actually use when discussing weekend plans. These aren't textbook phrases. These are the real, natural expressions you'll hear in coffee shops, offices, and casual conversations every single day.
By the end of this episode, you'll have the confidence to join any weekend conversation naturally and authentically. You'll sound more fluent, more relaxed, and most importantly, more like yourself when speaking English. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's transform the way you talk about weekends.
David, can I share something that happened to me just yesterday? I was at the grocery store, and the cashier asked me, "Any fun plans for the weekend?" And you know what? For just a split second, even as a native speaker, I found myself searching for the right words to sound interesting, but not too busy, excited, but not overwhelming.
That's fascinating, Julia. You've just touched on something that even native speakers struggle with sometimes. But here's what really gets me excited. Imagine if you're learning English and someone asks you that same question. Your heart starts racing, your mind goes blank, and you end up saying something like, "I will do some activities," or "maybe I go somewhere."
Exactly. And that's not because you don't have interesting plans or because your English isn't good enough. It's because you haven't learned the natural phrases that make these conversations flow effortlessly. You know individual words like weekend, plans, and activities, but you're missing the linguistic bridges that connect them naturally.
Here's a bold statement. The difference between sounding like a textbook and sounding like a confident English speaker isn't grammar or vocabulary size. It's knowing these 50 phrases we're about to share. These expressions will transform awkward, stilted responses into smooth, engaging conversations that make people want to keep talking with you.
And the beautiful thing is, once you master talking about weekend plans, you've actually mastered a template for discussing future plans, past experiences, and personal interests in general. This one conversation topic opens doors to so many other natural English interactions.
Julia, I have to ask you something that's been on my mind. Why do you think weekend conversations are such a big deal in English-speaking cultures? I mean, it seems like every Friday, the question, "What are you up to this weekend?" becomes almost unavoidable.
Oh, that's such a great question, David. I think it comes down to connection and culture. In many English-speaking countries, weekends represent freedom, relaxation, and personal time. When someone asks about your weekend plans, they're not just making small talk. They're showing interest in who you are outside of work or school.
That's so true. And here's what I find really interesting for our English learners. In many cultures, asking about personal time might feel intrusive or too intimate. But in English-speaking contexts, it's actually a sign of friendliness and inclusion. People want to know because they genuinely care or because they're looking for common ground.
Exactly. And this is why learning natural phrases is so crucial. When you respond with authentic expressions, you're not just communicating your plans, you're participating in a cultural ritual that builds relationships. You're showing that you understand the social rhythm of English conversation.
I love how you put that, Julia. And here's another thing that excites me about focusing on phrases rather than individual words. When you learn that natives say, I'm thinking of, instead of I plan to, or I might end up, instead of maybe I will, you're not just learning language, you're learning to think in English patterns.
Yes, and these phrases carry emotional nuance too. There's a difference between saying, I have to clean my house, and I need to tackle some cleaning. One sounds like a burden, the other sounds like you're taking charge. These subtle differences make your English feel alive and personable.
And let's be honest about something that many English learners struggle with: the fear of sounding boring or uninteresting when talking about weekends. Sometimes you might think, my plans aren't exciting enough to talk about. But with the right phrases, even simple activities like doing laundry or reading a book can sound engaging and relatable.
Oh, absolutely. I remember helping a student who was convinced her weekends were too boring to discuss. But once she learned phrases like, I'm planning to have a quiet weekend, or I'm looking forward to some downtime, she realized that peaceful weekends are just as valid and interesting as adventurous ones.
All right, Julia, let's dive into our first phrase, and this one is absolutely essential. I'm thinking of. This phrase is perfect when you have an idea but you're not 100% committed to it yet. It sounds thoughtful and leaves room for flexibility.
I love this phrase because it's so versatile. You can say, I'm thinking of trying that new restaurant, or I'm thinking of visiting my sister. It's casual, but shows you're actively considering your options. Native speakers use this constantly because it doesn't lock you into anything definite.
Here's a perfect situation where you'd use this. Your coworker asks about your weekend on Friday afternoon. You could say, I'm thinking of checking out that farmer's market downtown. Have you ever been there? See how it opens up the conversation.
Let's hear how this sounds in a natural dialogue.
Hey, Julia, any plans for Saturday?
I'm thinking of going hiking if the weather holds up. What about you?
That sounds great. I'm thinking of having a lazy morning and then maybe catching a movie.
Notice how both responses sound natural and conversational. Neither person is making firm commitments, but they're sharing genuine possibilities. This phrase makes you sound like a thoughtful planner rather than someone who's indecisive.
Our second phrase is fantastic for expressing possibilities. I might end up. This suggests that something could happen, often as a result of circumstances or spontaneous decisions. It's perfect for showing you're flexible and open to possibilities.
This phrase is so naturally English. You might say, I might end up staying in and ordering pizza, or I might end up helping my neighbor with his garden. It implies that life has a way of taking unexpected turns, which is very relatable.
Here's a common scenario. You don't have concrete plans, but you know certain things could lead to specific activities. For example, if your friend mentions wanting to see a movie, you could say, I don't have solid plans yet, so I might end up joining you for that film.
Let me show you this in action.
What's your weekend looking like?
Pretty open, actually. I might end up doing some gardening if it's nice out, or I might end up having a Netflix marathon if it rains.
Sounds like you're prepared for anything. I might end up doing the same thing, honestly.
See how this phrase makes your plan sound organic and natural? It shows you're someone who goes with the flow, which is often exactly how weekends actually unfold.
Now let's look at I'm planning to. This phrase shows a bit more intention and preparation than our previous ones. It suggests you've thought ahead and made some decisions, but it's still softer than saying, I will definitely.
This is perfect for activities that require some planning or coordination. You might say, I'm planning to meet up with some friends, or I'm planning to tackle my spring cleaning. It shows you're organized but not rigid.
The beauty of this phrase is that it works for both big and small plans. Whether you're planning to travel to another city or planning to reorganize your bookshelf, this phrase fits perfectly and sounds natural.
Here's how it sounds in conversation.
Got anything exciting planned for the weekend?
I'm planning to visit that new art gallery downtown. I've been wanting to check it out for weeks.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I'm planning to have a quiet weekend myself. Maybe catch up on some reading.
Notice how this phrase works for both active and relaxed plans. It's incredibly versatile and always sounds polished and thoughtful.
Here's a phrase that adds emotion and enthusiasm. I'm looking forward to. This doesn't just tell people what you'll do, it tells them how you feel about it. It's perfect for showing genuine excitement or anticipation.
I absolutely love this phrase because it makes any plan sound positive. Whether you're looking forward to sleeping in, trying a new recipe, or meeting friends, this phrase automatically adds warmth and positivity to your response.
This phrase works beautifully for activities you've been wanting to do for a while. For instance, I'm looking forward to finally finishing that book I started. Or, I'm looking forward to spending time in my garden now that spring is here.
Let's see this in a conversation.
How are you feeling about the weekend?
Honestly, I'm really looking forward to doing absolutely nothing. It's been such a busy week.
I totally understand. I'm looking forward to sleeping in for the first time in ages.
This phrase immediately creates a positive vibe in the conversation. Even simple activities sound appealing when you express them with genuine enthusiasm.
Here's a really useful phrase for those weekends when you have things to do. I need to catch up on. This suggests you've fallen behind on something and want to get back on track. It's honest and relatable because everyone has things they need to catch up on.
This phrase is so practical. You can use it for anything from I need to catch up on laundry to I need to catch up with old friends to I need to catch up on my favorite TV show. It acknowledges that you've been busy while showing you're taking care of responsibility.
What I love about this phrase is that it doesn't sound negative or burdensome. Instead of saying, I have to do chores, you can say, I need to catch up on some household tasks, which sounds much more positive and manageable.
Here's how it works in conversation.
What's on your agenda this weekend?
Well, I really need to catch up on some emails from friends. I've been terrible about staying in touch lately.
I know exactly what you mean. I need to catch up on my reading. I have 3 books sitting on my nightstand.
See how this phrase makes even obligations sound reasonable and self-caring. It shows you're being responsible while maintaining a positive attitude.
Let's explore I'm hoping to. This phrase is perfect when you have good intentions but acknowledge that things might not go according to plan. It's optimistic but realistic, which makes it very natural and relatable.
This phrase is wonderful because it shows you have desires and goals without putting pressure on yourself or others. You might say, I'm hoping to get some exercise, or I'm hoping to connect with my family. It's aspirational but gentle.
This works especially well when your plans depend on factors outside your control, like weather, other people's availability, or energy levels. For example, I'm hoping to spend some time outdoors if the weather cooperates.
Let me demonstrate this in dialogue.
What would you like to accomplish this weekend?
I'm hoping to organize my closet, but honestly, I might just end up relaxing if I'm still tired from this week.
That sounds perfectly reasonable. I'm hoping to cook a nice dinner, but I might just order takeout instead.
This phrase gives you permission to be human and flexible with your plans. It acknowledges that weekends are for restoration, not just productivity.
Let's explore I could really use. Here's a phrase that expresses what you need or want. This is perfect for talking about weekends because it often reflects what you're craving after a long week. It's honest and creates connection because most people understand needing certain things.
This phrase is so relatable. You might say, I could really use a good night's sleep, or I could really use some time outdoors, or I could really use a laugh with friends. It shows self-awareness about what would make you feel better.
What makes this phrase special is that it invites empathy and understanding from others. When you say, I could really use some quiet time, people immediately understand and often relate to that feeling themselves.
Here's how it sounds naturally.
How has your weekend been? What are you planning for the weekend?
Honestly, it's been pretty intense at work. I could really use some time to just decompress and maybe read a good book.
I completely understand. I could really use some fresh air myself. Maybe a walk in the park would do me good.
Notice how this phrase creates instant connection and understanding? It's honest about your needs while opening up space for others to share their experiences too.
This next phrase is excellent for talking about things you've had on your mind. I've been wanting to. It suggests ongoing interest or desire and makes your weekend plans sound intentional and meaningful.
I love this phrase because it shows that your weekend activities aren't just random. They're things you've been genuinely interested in doing. You might say, I've been wanting to try that new coffee shop, or I've been wanting to call my grandmother.
This phrase works beautifully for activities you've been postponing or looking forward to. It adds a story element to your plans and often leads to more interesting conversations about why you've been wanting to do something.
Let's hear this in action.
Any special plans this weekend?
Actually, yes. I've been wanting to explore that vintage market downtown. I keep hearing great things about it.
Oh, that sounds fun. I've been wanting to try making homemade bread. This might be the perfect weekend for it.
See how this phrase makes even simple activities sound thoughtful and purposeful? It gives your plans a sense of history and intention.
I'm in the mood for. Here's a phrase that's all about feelings and desires. I'm in the mood for. This is perfect for expressing what appeals to you right now, in this moment. It's spontaneous and honest, and it makes your weekend plans sound authentic.
This phrase is so naturally conversational. You can say, I'm in the mood for something adventurous, or I'm in the mood for comfort food and movies, or I'm in the mood for good conversation. It captures your current emotional state perfectly.
What I love about this phrase is that it acknowledges that our desires change based on how we're feeling. After a stressful week, you might be in the mood for relaxation. After a quiet week, you might be in the mood for excitement.
Here's how it flows in conversation.
What sounds good to you this weekend?
You know what? I'm really in the mood for something creative. Maybe I'll finally start that painting project I bought supplies for.
That sounds perfect. I'm in the mood for something social. Maybe I'll invite some friends over for dinner.
This phrase makes your plans sound inspired by your current feelings, which is exactly how many weekend decisions actually happen.
I was thinking about. Let's look at I was thinking about. This phrase suggests you've been considering something recently. It's slightly more tentative than I'm planning to, but more concrete than I might. It shows thoughtful consideration.
This phrase is perfect for when you've been mulling over possibilities. You might say, I was thinking about visiting the museum, or I was thinking about having people over for brunch. It shows your plans are emerging from genuine thought and interest.
This phrase often leads to great conversations because it invites input from others. When you say, I was thinking about trying that new hiking trail, people might share their experiences or offer to join you.
Let me show you how this sounds.
What's going through your mind for this weekend?
Well, I was thinking about maybe doing some photography around the city. The weather's supposed to be beautiful.
That sounds lovely. I was thinking about similar things, maybe taking my sketchbook to the park.
Notice how this phrase suggests your plans are still developing? It keeps the conversation open and flexible while showing you're actively thinking about enjoyable activities.
I'm due for. Here's a phrase that suggests it's time for something. I'm due for. This implies that enough time has passed since you last did something, so it's appropriate or necessary to do it again. It's great for showing self-awareness about your needs and habits.
This phrase works wonderfully for activities that you do periodically. You might say, I'm due for a good workout, or I'm due for a phone call with my parents, or I'm due for some quality time with friends. It suggests healthy awareness of what you need.
Here's how it works in conversation. Anything you really want to do this weekend?
Definitely. I'm really due for a good long walk. I've been sitting at my computer way too much this week.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm due for some time in the kitchen. I haven't cooked a proper meal in ages.
This phrase shows self-awareness and self-care, which makes you sound thoughtful and responsible. It also often resonates with others who recognize similar patterns in their own lives.
Let's explore I feel like. This phrase is perfect for expressing desires or inclinations based on your current mood or state of mind. It's very natural and conversational, and it reflects how people actually make weekend decisions.
I use this phrase constantly. You can say, I feel like staying in tonight, or I feel like trying something new, or I feel like being productive. It captures the spontaneous, mood-based nature of many weekend choices.
This phrase is honest about the fact that our plans often emerge from our feelings rather than rigid planning. It makes you sound authentic and in tune with yourself, which is very appealing in conversation.
Let's see this in action.
What's calling to you this weekend?
Honestly, I feel like doing something completely different from my usual routine. Maybe I'll explore a new neighborhood or try a cuisine I've never had before.
I love that spirit. I feel like being around nature this weekend. Perhaps a trip to the botanical gardens would be perfect.
This phrase makes your plans sound inspired and authentic. It shows you're listening to yourself and making choices that align with your current needs and desires.
Here's a phrase that acknowledges responsibilities while staying conversational. I should probably. This suggests something would be wise or beneficial to do, but it's not harsh or demanding. It's perfect for talking about things you know would be good for you.
I should probably. This phrase strikes a nice balance between acknowledging what's practical and staying relaxed about it. You might say, I should probably get some grocery shopping done, or I should probably call my dentist for that appointment. It's responsible but not stressful.
What I appreciate about this phrase is that it shows you're thinking about your well-being and responsibilities without sounding overwhelming or burdensome. It keeps the conversation light while showing you're a thoughtful person.
Here's how it sounds in dialogue.
What's on your mind for the weekend?
Well, I should probably do some meal prep for next week, but I'm also hoping to squeeze in some fun activities too.
That sounds like a great balance. I should probably tackle some paperwork, but I'm determined to make time for relaxation as well.
See how this phrase acknowledges responsibilities without making the conversation heavy? It shows you're practical while maintaining a positive attitude about your weekend.
This phrase brings pure enthusiasm. I can't wait to. It expresses genuine excitement and anticipation about your plans. This is perfect for activities you're truly looking forward to, and it instantly makes conversations more positive and energetic.
I love how this phrase transforms any activity into something exciting. Whether you can't wait to sleep in, can't wait to see friends, or can't wait to try a new restaurant, this phrase shows your enthusiasm and makes others feel your positive energy.
This phrase is wonderful because it's contagious. When you express genuine excitement about your plans, it often makes others feel more excited about their own weekend or even interested in joining you.
Let me demonstrate.
You seem pretty upbeat about the weekend. What's going on?
I am. I can't wait to go to the farmer's market tomorrow morning. I love seeing all the fresh produce and trying samples from different vendors.
That sounds amazing. I can't wait to finally have time to work on my woodworking project. I've been thinking about it all week.
Notice how this phrase immediately elevates the energy of the conversation? It shows you find joy in your plans, which is infectious and creates positive connections with others.
Similar to our previous phrase, but slightly more formal, I'm excited about is perfect for expressing anticipation and positive feelings about your weekend plans. It works for both big and small activities and always sounds genuine and engaging.
This phrase is versatile and always appropriate. You can be excited about anything from I'm excited about having a quiet weekend at home to I'm excited about the concert I'm going to. It shows you approach your weekends with a positive attitude.
What makes this phrase special is that it works in both casual and slightly more formal conversations. Whether you're talking to a close friend or a colleague you don't know well, expressing excitement about your plans always comes across as friendly and approachable.
Here's how it flows naturally.
What's making you smile about this weekend?
Oh, I'm really excited about trying this new yoga class I signed up for. I've never done hot yoga before, so it should be an adventure.
How adventurous of you! I'm excited about having my sister visit. We haven't seen each other in months, and we're planning to explore the city together.
This phrase shows that you actively seek out things to be enthusiastic about, which makes you seem like a positive, engaged person who others enjoy being around.
I'm overdue for.
Here's a phrase that acknowledges you've waited too long to do something. I'm overdue for. This suggests that it's past time to do something, often something important or beneficial for you. It shows self-awareness and often creates relatable conversations.
This phrase is so honest and relatable. You might say, I'm overdue for a haircut, or I'm overdue for a phone call with my college roommate, or I'm overdue for some serious relaxation.
It acknowledges life gets busy and sometimes we postpone things we should do.
What I like about this phrase is that it shows you recognize your patterns and needs. It's not critical or negative, it's simply acknowledging reality and showing you're ready to take care of something you've put off.
Let's hear this in conversation.
Anything important you want to tackle this weekend?
Absolutely. I'm really overdue for some quality time with my garden. My poor plants have been neglected while I was traveling for work.
I can relate to that. I'm overdue for organizing my home office. It's become a disaster zone over the past few weeks.
This phrase often leads to bonding moments because most people have things they're overdue for. It creates understanding and sometimes even accountability partnerships.
I've been putting off. This phrase honestly acknowledges procrastination. I've been putting off. It's perfect for talking about things you know you should do but haven't gotten around to yet. It's honest without being self-critical, and it often leads to supportive conversations.
I appreciate how this phrase is honest about human nature. We all put things off sometimes, whether it's I've been putting off cleaning out my closet, or I've been putting off learning that new software for work. It's relatable and shows self-awareness.
This phrase often makes conversations more authentic because it acknowledges that we're all human and sometimes avoid tasks that seem overwhelming or unpleasant. It can even lead to helpful suggestions or offers of support from others.
Here's how it sounds naturally.
Got any tasks you're hoping to finally tackle?
Oh, yes. I've been putting off sorting through all those photos on my phone. I keep meaning to make albums, but it feels like such a big project.
I totally understand. I've been putting off deep cleaning my kitchen. It's not terrible, but it needs more attention than my usual quick cleanups.
Notice how this phrase creates space for understanding and empathy? It shows you're honest about your habits while indicating you're ready to take action.
I'm treating myself to. Here's a lovely phrase for self-care. I'm treating myself to. This suggests you're doing something special or indulgent for yourself, often as a reward or simply because you deserve it. It shows healthy self-care and makes weekend plans sound delightful.
I love this phrase because it reframes activities as acts of self-kindness. Whether you're treating yourself to a massage, treating yourself to your favorite meal, or treating yourself to a day without plans, it shows you value your own well-being.
This phrase is wonderful because it gives you permission to enjoy things without guilt. Instead of saying, I'm being lazy, you can say, I'm treating myself to a slow morning. It's all about perspective and self-compassion.
Let me show you this in action.
What are you looking forward to most this weekend?
Well, I had a really challenging week, so I'm treating myself to breakfast at that cute cafe I love, and then maybe a long bath with a good book.
That sounds absolutely perfect. I'm treating myself to sleeping in tomorrow, and then maybe watching movies all afternoon without feeling guilty about it.
This phrase makes even simple pleasures sound intentional and worthy. It shows you understand the importance of taking care of yourself, which is very appealing and mature.
I'm in desperate need of. This phrase adds urgency and emphasis. I'm in desperate need of. It's perfect for when you really truly need something for your well-being or sanity. It's dramatic, but in a relatable, often humorous way that creates connection with others.
This phrase is great for expressing strong desires. You might say, I'm in desperate need of some fresh air, or I'm in desperate need of a good laugh, or I'm in desperate need of some peace and quiet.
What makes this phrase effective is that it's emphatic without being negative. It shows you're very aware of what would make you feel better, and you're committed to getting it. People often relate to this level of self-awareness.
Here's how it works in conversation.
You look like you could use a break. What's your weekend plan?
You're so right. I'm in desperate need of some time in nature. I think I'll drive to the lake and just sit by the water for a few hours.
That sounds incredibly restorative. I'm in desperate need of some creative time. I might finally break out my art supplies and just play around with colors.
This phrase shows you take your needs seriously and you're willing to prioritize your well-being, which is both healthy and attractive to others.
Here's a phrase that shows determination. I have every intention of. This suggests you're committed to doing something, though it leaves a tiny bit of room for life's unpredictability. It sounds more formal than some phrases, but shows strong resolve.
This phrase is perfect when you want to show you're serious about your plans. You might say, I have every intention of getting some exercise this weekend, or I have every intention of finishing that book I started. It shows commitment while acknowledging that sometimes things don't go exactly as planned.
What I like about this phrase is that it demonstrates good intentions and planning while being realistic about the fact that weekends sometimes take unexpected turns. It's confident but not rigid.
Let's see this in dialogue.
What are your goals for the weekend?
I have every intention of organizing my entire bedroom, closet, dresser, everything. I've been planning this for weeks, and I finally have the time to do it properly.
Wow, that's ambitious. I have every intention of meal prepping for the whole week. If I can get that done, I'll feel so prepared for the busy week ahead.
This phrase shows you're a person who makes plans and follows through, which creates trust and reliability in your relationships with others.
I'm leaning towards. This phrase suggests a preference without total commitment. I'm leaning towards. It's perfect when you're considering options and have a preference but want to stay flexible. It sounds thoughtful and open to input.
I really like this phrase because it shows you're actively considering your options. You might say, I'm leaning towards staying local this weekend, or I'm leaning towards something active rather than sedentary. It shows you're thinking through what would feel best.
This phrase is great for conversations because it invites others to share their thoughts or suggestions. When you say you're leaning towards something, people often offer their experiences or ideas, which can lead to interesting discussions.
Here's how it sounds in conversation.
Have you decided what you want to do this weekend?
I'm still weighing my options, but I'm leaning towards something outdoors, maybe hiking or just walking around different neighborhoods to explore.
That sounds great. I'm leaning towards a mix of productive and relaxing activities. Maybe some cleaning in the morning and then something fun in the afternoon.
This phrase shows you're a thoughtful decision maker who considers options carefully, which makes you seem reliable and considerate.
Here's a phrase full of eagerness. I'm itching to. This expresses a strong desire or restlessness to do something. It's informal and energetic, perfect for activities you're really eager to try or get back to.
This phrase is so expressive. You might say, I'm itching to get back in the garden now that spring is here, or I'm itching to try that new dance class I heard about. It shows enthusiasm and a sense of anticipation that's really contagious.
What makes this phrase special is the physical imagery. When you're itching to do something, it suggests you can barely sit still because you want to do it so much. It's a very visceral way to express enthusiasm.
Let me demonstrate this in action.
You seem restless today. What's going on?
I am. I'm absolutely itching to reorganize my entire kitchen. I have all these ideas for making it more functional, and I can't wait to get started.
I love that energy. I'm itching to get back to playing guitar. I haven't touched it in weeks, and my fingers are practically twitching to get back to those strings.
This phrase shows passion and eagerness that's really infectious. When someone says they're itching to do something, you can feel their excitement, and it often makes you excited too.
Similar to our previous phrase, but even more intense, I'm dying to expresses extreme eagerness or desire. It's dramatic in a fun way and shows you're really, truly excited about something you want to do.
This phrase is wonderfully expressive. You can say, I'm dying to see that new movie, or I'm dying to visit that bookstore everyone's talking about. It shows intense anticipation and makes your plans sound really appealing.
What I love about this phrase is that it's enthusiastic without being overwhelming. It's a playful exaggeration that everyone understands. You're not literally dying, but you're really, really excited.
Here's how it works in conversation.
What's got you so excited about this weekend?
Oh my goodness, I'm dying to try making homemade pasta. I bought all the ingredients weeks ago, and I finally have time to attempt it this Saturday.
That sounds like such a fun challenge. I'm dying to visit that new coffee roastery downtown. I've been craving really good coffee all week.
This phrase shows you have strong enthusiasms and interests, which makes you seem like a passionate, engaged person who knows how to enjoy life.
This phrase acknowledges attraction to an idea while showing some uncertainty. I'm tempted to. It suggests you're drawn to something but might be considering whether it's the best choice. It's honest about internal conflicts we all have.
I find this phrase so relatable. You might say, I'm tempted to spend the whole weekend reading, or I'm tempted to try that expensive restaurant I keep hearing about. It shows you're considering indulgences or changes to your usual routine.
This phrase often leads to interesting conversations because it reveals your thought process. People might encourage you to follow your temptation or share similar struggles between what they want to do and what they think they should do.
Here's how it sounds naturally.
What's going through your mind for the weekend?
Well, I'm really tempted to book a last-minute trip to the coast. I know it's impulsive, but the weather is perfect, and I could use a change of scenery.
That sounds amazing. I'm tempted to skip all my planned activities and just have a complete spontaneous weekend. Sometimes the best plans are no plans at all.
This phrase shows you're thoughtful about your choices while also being open to spontaneity and following your instincts, which is very human and appealing.
Here's a casual phrase for expressing what appeals to you. I could go for. This suggests something sounds good or attractive to you right now. It's relaxed and conversational, perfect for discussing weekend possibilities.
This phrase is so naturally conversational. You might say, I could go for a long walk, or I could go for some comfort food in a movie, or I could go for some live music tonight. It expresses current desires in a very easygoing way.
What I like about this phrase is that it's flexible and open. It doesn't commit you to anything, but it shares what sounds appealing, which often leads to great spontaneous plans or conversations about preferences.
Let me show you this in action.
What sounds good to you right now?
You know what? I could really go for some time at the farmer's market, maybe followed by cooking something fresh and delicious with whatever I find there.
That sounds perfect for a Saturday morning. I could go for something similar, maybe browsing some bookstores and then finding a cozy cafe to read in.
This phrase makes you sound easygoing and open to experiences, which makes others feel comfortable sharing their own ideas and preferences with you.
This phrase suggests you're considering something but haven't decided yet. I'm toying with the idea of. It shows you're in the exploratory phase of planning, turning an idea over in your mind to see how it feels.
I love this phrase because it shows the thinking process behind planning. You might say, I'm toying with the idea of redecorating my living room, or I'm toying with the idea of starting a garden this spring. It shows you're actively considering possibilities.
This phrase is perfect when you want to share an idea you're considering without committing to it. It often invites others to share their thoughts or experiences, which can help you decide.
Here's how it works in conversation.
Any interesting ideas brewing for your weekend?
Actually, I'm toying with the idea of taking a pottery class. There's a beginner workshop on Saturday, and I keep thinking it might be fun to try working with clay.
How exciting! I'm toying with the idea of joining a hiking group. I love walking alone, but I think it might be nice to meet some like-minded people.
This phrase shows you're open to new experiences and you think carefully about your choices, which makes you seem adventurous yet thoughtful.
Here's a phrase for when you're undecided. I'm on the fence about. This perfectly captures that feeling of being torn between options or unsure about a decision. It's honest about uncertainty, which is very relatable.
This phrase is so useful for expressing mixed feelings. You might say, I'm on the fence about going to that party, or I'm on the fence about starting that big cleaning project. It shows you're weighing pros and cons, which is very human.
What makes this phrase valuable is that it often opens up conversations where others can share their perspectives or similar experiences. It shows you value input and think through decisions carefully.
Let's see this in dialogue.
Have you made any weekend decisions yet?
I'm actually on the fence about whether to visit the art museum or spend the day outdoors. Both sound wonderful, but I can't decide which would be better for my current mood.
I can relate to that dilemma. I'm on the fence about whether to be social this weekend or take some alone time. I feel like I could benefit from either one.
This phrase shows you're thoughtful about your choices and recognize that sometimes decisions aren't straightforward, which makes you seem reflective and genuine.
This phrase shows readiness and preparation. I'm all set to. It suggests you've made plans and preparations and you're ready to execute them. It conveys confidence and organization.
I like this phrase because it shows you follow through on your planning. You might say, I'm all set to host dinner for friends, or I'm all set to tackle that home improvement project. It demonstrates that you prepare well and feel confident about your plans.
This phrase works especially well when you've done advanced planning or preparation. It shows others that you're reliable and organized, and it often makes your plans sound more concrete and appealing.
Here's how it sounds in conversation.
How are your weekend plans shaping up?
Great! I'm all set to try making bread from scratch. I've got all the ingredients, I've watched several tutorial videos, and I cleared my whole Saturday morning for the process.
That sounds wonderfully thorough. I'm all set to finally organize my photo collection. I've set aside the whole afternoon and have all my albums and supplies ready to go.
This phrase shows you're someone who plans ahead and follows through, which creates confidence in others about your reliability and commitment.
Here's a phrase that expresses attraction or appeal. I'm drawn to. This suggests you feel naturally attracted to an idea or activity. It's more gentle than I want and suggests intuitive attraction rather than logical decision-making.
This phrase is beautiful because it acknowledges that sometimes we're attracted to activities for reasons we can't fully explain. You might say, I'm really drawn to spending time near water this weekend, or I'm drawn to trying something completely new and different.
What I love about this phrase is that it suggests you listen to your instincts and intuition. It shows you pay attention to what naturally appeals to you, which often leads to very satisfying experiences.
Let me demonstrate this in action.
What's calling to you this weekend?
I'm really drawn to doing something with my hands, maybe pottery, gardening, or even just kneading bread dough. I think I need to create something tangible after a week of computer work.
That makes perfect sense. I'm drawn to being around other people this weekend. Maybe I'll invite friends over or find some community event to attend.
This phrase shows you're self-aware and in tune with your deeper needs, which makes you seem thoughtful and authentic.
This phrase expresses strong desire, often for something you haven't had in a while. I'm craving. It suggests you have a real appetite or hunger for something, whether it's food, an experience, or a feeling.
I love how vivid this phrase is. You can crave anything from, I'm craving some quiet time in nature, to I'm craving good conversation with friends, to I'm craving something sweet and homemade. It shows you know what you need to feel satisfied.
This phrase is powerful because it acknowledges that we have appetites for experiences and feelings, not just food. It shows you understand what nourishes you emotionally and mentally.
Here's how it works in conversation.
What would really hit the spot for you this weekend?
I'm absolutely craving some live music. I haven't been to a concert or even heard live music in months, and I really miss that energy and connection.
That sounds wonderful. I'm craving some time in my kitchen, experimenting with new recipes. I miss the creativity and the delicious results of cooking adventures.
This phrase shows you understand your own needs and desires deeply, and you're not afraid to seek out what will truly satisfy you.
Here's a charming, slightly old-fashioned phrase. I have a hankering for. This expresses a yearning or craving for something, often something specific that's been on your mind. It's folksy and endearing.
This phrase is so delightfully expressive. You might say, I have a hankering for apple pie, or I have a hankering for a good old-fashioned board game afternoon. It has a warm, nostalgic feeling that makes conversations feel cozy and friendly.
What makes this phrase special is its personality. It shows you have character and aren't afraid to use colorful language. It often makes people smile and creates a warm, approachable impression.
Let's hear this in dialogue.
What's been on your mind lately?
You know, I have a real hankering for some comfort food and classic movies. Maybe I'll make some soup from scratch and watch old films all afternoon.
That sounds absolutely perfect for a cozy weekend. I have a hankering for some hands-on work, maybe fixing things around the house or working in the garage.
This phrase adds personality and warmth to your speech, making you memorable and showing that you have a rich vocabulary and aren't afraid to be a little distinctive.
This phrase shows openness and willingness. I'm up for. It suggests you're ready and willing to do something, often in response to suggestions or opportunities. It makes you sound flexible and positive about possibilities.
I really like this phrase because it shows you're open to experiences. You might say, I'm up for trying that new restaurant, or I'm up for whatever sounds fun. It demonstrates flexibility and a positive attitude toward new experiences.
This phrase is great for conversations because it shows you're a yes person who's willing to go along with plans or try new things. It makes you seem like fun company and someone who contributes positively to group dynamics.
Here's how it sounds naturally.
Want to do something spontaneous this weekend?
Absolutely. I'm up for just about anything. Maybe we could explore a neighborhood we've never been to or try that new activity we were talking about last week.
I love that attitude. I'm up for an adventure too. Whether it's indoors or outdoors, active or relaxing, I'm ready for whatever sounds interesting.
This phrase makes you sound like enjoyable company who brings positive energy to any situation. It shows you're adaptable and enthusiastic about life.
Here's a gentle way to express interest. I wouldn't mind. This phrase is understated but positive, suggesting something would be pleasant or acceptable to you. It's polite and leaves room for other options.
This phrase is wonderfully diplomatic. You might say, I wouldn't mind spending some time outdoors, or I wouldn't mind trying that new cafe. It shows interest without being demanding or inflexible.
What I appreciate about this phrase is that it's modest and considerate. It suggests you'd enjoy something without putting pressure on others or claiming it's the only thing you want to do.
Let me show you this in action.
Any preferences for weekend activities?
I'm pretty flexible, but I wouldn't mind doing something cultural, maybe visiting a museum or catching a play if there's something good showing.
That sounds lovely. I wouldn't mind something active myself. A bike ride or even just a long walk would feel really good after this sedentary week.
This phrase makes you sound easygoing and considerate, someone who has preferences but is flexible and accommodating in group situations.
This phrase shows enthusiasm and readiness. I'm game for. It suggests you're willing and excited to try something, often something that might be challenging or new. It shows adventurous spirit and positive attitude.
I love this phrase because it shows you're up for challenges and adventures. You might say, I'm game for trying that difficult hiking trail, or I'm game for learning something completely new. It demonstrates courage and enthusiasm.
This phrase makes you sound like someone who embraces opportunities and doesn't shy away from new experiences. It suggests you're confident and willing to step out of your comfort zone.
Here's how it works in conversation.
Would you be interested in trying something we've never done before?
Definitely. I'm game for just about any new experience. Maybe we could try that escape room everyone talks about, or take a cooking class together.
I love your adventurous spirit. I'm game for something physical and challenging. Rock climbing or kayaking could be amazing if the weather cooperates.
This phrase shows you're confident, adventurous, and fun to be around. It suggests you bring positive energy and willingness to try new things to any group or relationship.
Here's a phrase that shows strong interest. I'm keen on. This suggests you're particularly interested in or enthusiastic about something. It's slightly more formal than some phrases, but shows genuine enthusiasm.
This phrase is great for expressing focused interest. You might say, I'm really keen on visiting that new art gallery, or I'm keen on spending time in my garden this weekend. It shows you have specific interests and passions.
What makes this phrase appealing is that it shows you have genuine enthusiasms and you're not afraid to express them. It suggests you're passionate about things and actively pursue what interests you.
Let's see this in dialogue.
What's caught your interest lately?
I'm really keen on exploring photography this weekend. I want to take my camera to different parts of the city and practice capturing interesting light and compositions.
That sounds like a wonderful creative pursuit. I'm keen on doing some serious reading this weekend. I have 3 books I'm excited about, and I want to really dive deep into them.
This phrase shows you have depth and genuine interests, making you seem like someone with rich inner life and passionate pursuits.
This is a charming, slightly British phrase that expresses desire or interest. I fancy. It's a genteel way to say you'd like something or find something appealing. It adds personality and charm to your speech.
I find this phrase so delightfully expressive. You might say, I fancy a quiet afternoon with tea and books, or I fancy trying my hand at watercolor painting. It has an elegant, thoughtful quality that makes even simple activities sound appealing.
This phrase adds character to your speech and often makes people smile. It's distinctive without being pretentious, and it shows you have a varied vocabulary and aren't afraid to use interesting expressions.
Here's how it sounds in conversation.
What appeals to you for a relaxing weekend?
I fancy spending some time in my garden with a cup of tea, maybe reading poetry outdoors if the weather is nice. Something peaceful and restorative sounds perfect.
That sounds absolutely lovely. I fancy doing some cooking this weekend, maybe trying a complex recipe that I can take my time with and really enjoy the process.
This phrase makes you sound cultured and thoughtful, someone who appreciates the finer aspects of life and isn't afraid to express yourself with personality and charm.
This phrase expresses what you need or would benefit from. It's honest about your needs and often creates empathy because everyone can relate to needing certain things for their well-being.
This phrase is so practical and honest. You might say, I could use some fresh air and exercise. Or I could use some quality time with friends. Or I could use some creative inspiration. It shows self-awareness about what would make you feel better.
What I like about this phrase is that it acknowledges we all have needs, and it's healthy to recognize and address them. It shows you take care of yourself and understand what contributes to your well-being.
Let me demonstrate this in action.
What would help you recharge this weekend?
Honestly, I could use some time in nature. I've been indoors way too much this week, and I can feel myself getting restless and disconnected from the natural world.
I completely understand that feeling. I could use some meaningful conversation with good friends. I miss those deep talks that leave you feeling connected and inspired.
This phrase shows you're self-aware and proactive about meeting your own needs, which is both healthy and attractive to others who value self-care and authenticity.
Here's a phrase that suggests you're working toward or hoping for something. I'm angling for. It implies you're strategically trying to make something happen or you're hoping circumstances will align for a particular outcome.
This phrase has a slightly playful, strategic quality. You might say, I'm angling for a completely spontaneous day, or I'm angling for some quality time with my family. It suggests you're actively hoping for or working towards something specific.
What makes this phrase interesting is that it acknowledges that sometimes we have to be a bit strategic or hopeful about creating the experiences we want. It shows you're proactive about making good things happen.
Here's how it works in conversation.
What are you hoping will happen this weekend?
I'm really angling for some uninterrupted creative time. I want to set up my easel and just paint without any distractions or time pressure.
That sounds wonderful. I'm angling for a perfect balance of productivity and relaxation. Maybe some morning chores followed by an afternoon of pure leisure.
This phrase shows you're thoughtful about creating the experiences you want, and you're willing to be intentional about making good things happen in your life.
This phrase suggests you're counting on or depending on something. I'm banking on. It shows you've made plans that depend on certain conditions or outcomes, often with optimistic expectations.
This phrase shows planning and optimism. You might say, I'm banking on good weather for my outdoor plans, or I'm banking on having enough energy after this busy week to actually enjoy my weekend. It shows you make plans while acknowledging variables.
What I like about this phrase is that it shows you're optimistic but realistic. You make plans while acknowledging that some things are outside your control, which is very mature and practical.
Let's see this in dialogue.
How confident are you about your weekend plans?
Pretty optimistic. I'm banking on the weather staying nice so I can have that picnic I've been planning. If it rains, I'll have to get creative with indoor alternatives.
That's smart planning. I'm banking on my energy levels being better after a good night's sleep tonight. If I feel refreshed tomorrow, I want to tackle several projects I've been putting off.
This phrase shows you're a practical planner who considers variables while maintaining optimism about outcomes, which makes you seem both realistic and positive.
Here's a phrase that expresses a goal or target. I'm shooting for. It suggests you have something specific you're aiming to achieve, though you acknowledge it might not work out perfectly. It shows ambition balanced with realism.
I really like this phrase because it shows you set goals while staying flexible. You might say, I'm shooting for finishing 3 chapters of my book, or I'm shooting for trying 2 new recipes this weekend. It demonstrates ambition without pressure.
This phrase is great because it shows you have standards and goals for how you want to spend your time, but you're not rigid about them. It suggests you're motivated, but also realistic about what's possible.
Here's how it sounds naturally.
What are you hoping to accomplish this weekend?
I'm shooting for getting my entire living room reorganized and redecorated. It's ambitious, but I've been planning it for weeks and I'm ready to transform the space.
What a great project! I'm shooting for having 3 really good conversations this weekend. Maybe calling friends I haven't talked to in a while and really connecting.
This phrase shows you're goal-oriented and intentional about your time while being realistic about what you can accomplish, which suggests good planning skills and self-awareness.
This phrase suggests focused intention and ambition. I'm setting my sights on. It implies you've chosen a specific target or goal and you're directing your energy toward achieving it. It shows determination and focus.
This phrase has a wonderful sense of purpose and direction. You might say, I'm setting my sights on finally organizing my entire home office, or I'm setting my sights on having the most relaxing weekend possible. It shows you're intentional about your goals.
What makes this phrase powerful is that it suggests you don't just let weekends happen to you, you actively choose what you want to achieve or experience. It shows you value your time and want to use it purposefully.
Let me show you this in action.
What's your main focus for this weekend?
I'm setting my sights on completely disconnecting from work and social media. I want to spend 2 full days present in my real life, enjoying simple pleasures without digital distractions.
What a powerful intention. I'm setting my sights on deepening my relationships this weekend. I want to have meaningful conversations and really connect with the people I care about.
This phrase shows you're purposeful and intentional about how you spend your time, which suggests you value both your time and your well-being enough to plan thoughtfully.
This phrase suggests preparation and anticipation. I'm gearing up for something, often something that requires preparation or energy. It shows you plan ahead and prepare well.
I love this phrase because it shows you take things seriously and prepare properly. You might say, I'm gearing up for a big cooking day, or I'm gearing up for some serious spring cleaning. It suggests you approach activities with intention and preparation.
This phrase works especially well for activities that require physical or mental preparation. It shows you don't just jump into things randomly. You think ahead and set yourself up for success.
Here's how it works in conversation.
You seem to be planning something substantial.
I am. I'm gearing up for a complete wardrobe overhaul this weekend. I've set aside both days, gathered all my supplies, and I'm ready to sort through everything and create a closet I actually love.
That sounds like quite an undertaking. I'm gearing up for a marathon cooking session. I want to make several meals for the week and try some new recipes I've been saving.
This phrase shows you're thorough and thoughtful in your approach to activities, which suggests you're reliable and likely to follow through on your plans successfully.
Here's an enthusiastic phrase that shows excitement. This is informal and energetic, perfect for expressing genuine enthusiasm about your plans. It shows you approach your weekends with positive energy.
This phrase is so full of energy and enthusiasm. You might say, I'm totally psyched about trying that new yoga class, or I'm psyched about finally having time to work on my art project. It shows you find real joy in your activities.
What makes this phrase great is its infectious enthusiasm. When you say you're psyched about something, it often makes others feel excited too, and it shows you're someone who finds genuine joy in life's experiences.
Let's hear this in dialogue.
You sound really excited about your weekend.
I am. I'm absolutely psyched about going to that outdoor market and then having a picnic in the park. It's such perfect weather, and I've been looking forward to it all week.
That enthusiasm is contagious. I'm psyched about finally having time to read that book series everyone's been recommending. I've got snacks, comfortable pillows, and absolutely no other obligations.
This phrase shows you're enthusiastic and find genuine joy in your plans, which makes you seem like positive, energetic company that others enjoy being around.
Similar to our previous phrase, I'm pumped to, shows high energy and excitement. It's casual and enthusiastic, perfect for expressing that you're really looking forward to something with anticipation and energy.
This phrase is wonderfully energetic. You might say, I'm pumped to try rock climbing for the first time, or I'm pumped to finally organize my craft room. It shows you approach activities with enthusiasm and positive energy.
This phrase is great because it shows you don't just go through the motions, you genuinely get excited about your plans and activities. It suggests you're someone who brings energy and enthusiasm to whatever you do.
Here's how it sounds in conversation.
What's got you so energized about this weekend?
I'm totally pumped to start learning Spanish. I finally signed up for that online course, and I'm excited to dive into a completely new challenge.
That's fantastic! I'm pumped to get back into hiking. I haven't been on a good trail in months, and I'm ready to push myself and enjoy some beautiful scenery.
This phrase shows you approach life with energy and enthusiasm, making you seem like someone who maximizes enjoyment and brings positive energy to any situation.
Here's another enthusiastic phrase. I'm stoked about. This is informal and shows high excitement, often used for activities that are particularly thrilling or anticipated. It's energetic and shows genuine enthusiasm.
This phrase has such great energy. You might say, I'm stoked about the concert tonight, or I'm stoked about finally having time to work in my garden. It shows you find real excitement in your plans and activities.
What makes this phrase appealing is its authenticity. When you say you're stoked about something, people can feel your genuine excitement, and it often makes them interested in what you're doing or excited for you.
Let me demonstrate this in action.
You seem really excited about something.
I am. I'm absolutely stoked about this photography workshop I'm taking tomorrow. I've been wanting to improve my skills for months, and finally I get to learn from a professional.
That sounds amazing. I'm stoked about having my entire family over for dinner on Sunday. It's been too long since we all got together, and I love hosting everyone.
This phrase shows you find genuine excitement in life's opportunities and experiences, which makes you seem like someone who appreciates life and brings positive energy to everything you do.
This phrase expresses deep excitement. It suggests something makes you genuinely happy and excited, often something you've been looking forward to or something particularly meaningful to you.
I love how this phrase conveys real joy. You might say, I'm thrilled about reconnecting with my old college friends, or I'm thrilled about finally having time to read for pleasure. It shows you find deep satisfaction in your plans.
This phrase is wonderful because it shows you don't take good experiences for granted. You recognize when something is special or meaningful, and you allow yourself to feel genuinely thrilled about it.
Here's how it works in conversation.
What's bringing you the most joy about this weekend?
I'm absolutely thrilled about having my niece come visit. She's bringing her new baby, and I haven't seen them since the birth. I'm so excited to spend quality time with them.
How wonderful! I'm thrilled about finally having time to work on my music. I've been composing a song for weeks, and this weekend I can really focus and maybe finish it.
This phrase shows you recognize and appreciate meaningful experiences, which makes you seem grateful and emotionally intelligent about what brings you joy.
Sometimes the best weekend plans are actually no plans at all. I'm looking forward to taking it easy means you want to relax, avoid stress, and do things at a slow, comfortable pace without pressure or rushing.
This is such a healthy attitude. It means you're prioritizing rest and self-care. You might say, after this crazy work week, I'm really looking forward to taking it easy. Or, I'm looking forward to taking it easy and just enjoying whatever happens naturally.
This phrase shows you understand the importance of balance, that being productive isn't everything, and sometimes we need to deliberately slow down and be gentle with ourselves.
Here's how it sounds in conversation.
Any big adventures planned for the weekend?
Actually, I'm looking forward to taking it easy. I want to sleep in, maybe read a book in the garden, and just let the day unfold naturally. No schedules, no rushing around.
That sounds perfect. I'm looking forward to taking it easy too. Maybe I'll cook a nice breakfast, take a long walk, and just enjoy being present instead of always thinking about what's next.
This phrase shows you value peace and balance, and you're wise enough to know when you need to slow down and recharge your energy.
When you want to show you're being intentional about enjoying something fully, use "I'm planning to make the most of." This means you want to maximize your enjoyment or benefit from a situation, opportunity, or experience.
I love this phrase because it shows you're thoughtful about your time. You might say, I'm planning to make the most of this sunny weather, or I'm planning to make the most of having my family all together. It shows you recognize when something is special.
This phrase demonstrates that you don't take good opportunities for granted. You want to be present and fully engage with positive experiences, instead of letting them pass by unnoticed.
Here's how it works in practice.
The weather forecast looks amazing this weekend.
Yes, I'm planning to make the most of it. I want to have breakfast outside, maybe go for a hike, and definitely spend time in my garden. I don't want to waste a single hour of this beautiful weather indoors.
That's smart. I'm planning to make the most of having my brother visit. We don't see each other often, so I want to really focus on our time together. No distractions, just good conversation and shared activities.
This phrase shows you're intentional about creating positive experiences, and you appreciate the good things in your life when they happen.
Our final phrase captures that wonderful feeling of anticipation mixed with openness. I'm excited to see how it goes.
This is such a healthy attitude. It shows you can be excited without needing to control everything. You might say, I'm trying a new hiking trail tomorrow. I'm excited to see how it goes. Or, I'm meeting some new people at a book club. I'm excited to see how it goes.
This phrase shows emotional maturity because you can hold excitement and uncertainty at the same time. You're optimistic but also flexible, which is a wonderful way to approach new experiences.
Let's hear it in our final conversation example.
How are you feeling about your cooking class this weekend?
Honestly, I'm a bit nervous because I'm not very experienced, but I'm excited to see how it goes. I love trying new things, and even if I make mistakes, I know I'll learn something and probably have fun.
That's the perfect attitude. I'm trying a new workout class too, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I have no idea if I'll be good at it, but I'm curious and ready for whatever happens.
This final phrase perfectly captures the spirit of adventure and openness that makes weekends and life so much more enjoyable and interesting.
Well, Julia, we've just shared 50 amazing phrases that will help our listeners talk about their weekend plans with confidence, enthusiasm, and natural English flow.
It's been such a pleasure exploring these expressions with you, David. From I'm thinking of to I'm excited to see how it goes, we've covered everything from quiet relaxation to exciting adventures, and all the emotions in between.
What I love most about these phrases is that they're not just vocabulary, they're tools for expressing your personality, your values, and your approach to life. When you use phrases like, I'm looking forward to taking it easy, or I'm thrilled about reconnecting with friends, you're sharing who you are.
Exactly. And remember, the magic isn't in memorizing all 50 phrases perfectly. The magic is in choosing a few that feel natural to you and practicing them until they feel like your own words. Start with the ones that match your actual weekend plans and personality.
To our wonderful listeners around the world, we want you to know that every small step you take in improving your English matters. Using one new phrase confidently is better than knowing 10 phrases but being afraid to use them.
So here's our challenge for you. This weekend, try using at least 3 of these phrases in real conversations, with friends, family, or even just when thinking about your plans. Notice how they make you feel more confident and natural in English.
If this episode helped you feel more prepared to talk about your weekend plans in English, please hit that like button and subscribe to the Confident Speaking Podcast. Your support means the world to us and helps us create more content to support English learners everywhere.
And remember, your weekend plans don't have to be perfect or exciting to be worth talking about. Whether you're planning to clean your house or climb a mountain, these phrases will help you express yourself with confidence and connect with others through the beautiful shared experience of looking forward to our time off.
Until next time, keep practicing, keep growing, and most importantly, keep enjoying your journey with English. We'll be here with more tips, phrases, and encouragement whenever you need us.
Take care, everyone, and we hope you have absolutely wonderful weekends filled with whatever brings you joy and peace. See you in the next episode of Confident Speaking Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to Confident Speaking Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to Master English Fluency.